The Vietnam War was causing a lot of divide within the country.
We're talking here about a major atrocity, a major moral crime.
The Hells Angels were pro-war.
Sonny was definitely a patriot, always.
Let you people go home! Get out of here, you bastard!
Sonny's a scrappy guy. He would not hesitate to scrap with somebody if it needed to be done.
Sonny Barger was a military veteran who took great offense at these draft protesters and people that were against the war. He thought that was un-American to the extreme.
The Hells Angels was clashing with the protesters because the protesters were these rich kids going to college that were protesting the war, and the poor working class guys were the ones going to war and dying.
Our patriotic concern for what these people are doing to our great nation may provoke violent acts by us. Here's a letter that we sent to President Johnson. Dear Mr. President, on behalf of myself and my associates, I volunteer a group of loyal Americans for behind-the-line duty in Vietnam.
Mr. President, we have a group here ready for training, ready to go. I've been looking around at some of the other guys like, I don't know if I'm ready to go tromping through the jungles of Vietnam. They probably would have went down there being like some Pistol Pete's, just shooting it up. It would have been crazy.
Do you feel especially qualified for guerrilla activity?
Well, I think we all got guts. We're not afraid to fight for what we believe in.
Do the women of the Hells Angels agree with your decision?
There's no women in the Hells Angels.
Well, your girlfriend. Do they think your decision's a wise one?
They have no say about it.
Maybe Sonny wasn't that sophisticated, but Sonny was street smart, and Sonny knew the media was powerful.
When Sonny would get press conference, he see the chance to get the club's name and word out there. Here's just a bunch of bikers was what the general public thought, scumbags or whatever, but Sonny had a vision. He wanted the world to know the Hells Angels were here.
We have identified over 446 of these people with criminal records. They seem to have a pattern of feeling that in numbers they have strength.
Thomas Lynch defines the Hells Angels as threatening the social order, and he makes a statement in his report. He goes, we have to stamp them out. And so the irony is that it's in every newspaper and every magazine, and so instead of having the effect of stamping them out, it actually gives the Hells Angels a platform. Now they're on a center stage. He makes them notorious.
Someone in Hollywood decided that this would make a great movie. Here's Hells Angels. They're bigger than life. Look how big they are. So you got a subconscious message to the little kids, you know, it's great. To the parents, it's like we're marauding pirates.
Hells Angels on Wheels was showing everywhere. It drew a lot of interest to the club where people reached out.
Hi there!
Sonny traveling with Hollywood promoting these movies, and that's when the expansion started. At that time, Hells Angels only had California. Sonny's vision was further than that, and that's how we got your Hells Angels all over the United States.
At that time, they had 10 chapters. By 1970, they had 18 chapters, and it was the beginning of a huge snowballing effect.
Hunter S. Thompson asked Sonny for permission to ride along with Hells Angels in California, and they says, yeah, well, it's gonna cost you a keg of beer. So the club allowed Hunter Thompson to ride with him and party with him.
Typical Hells Angel party, anything could happen, and often did. There was a lot of coke running around, and this new drug came on the scene, meth. There was also what we used to call outlaw punch, and consisted of cheap whiskey, cheap vodka, fruit punch, and LSD. That caused some violence from time to time, you know. caused an actual double homicide once. The party got out of control.
Mr. Thompson, you spent a year living with them. How do you explain them?
It's a whole subculture of dropouts and washouts and people who just can't make it in this automated, technological society.
You say they can't make it in this automated society. Is it?
Most of them are not very smart.
Sonny Barger hated him. Sonny did admit he was a good author, but Sonny hated him. The thing he hated about him was he felt he deceived the Hells Angels.
What do you think of the book?
That book is 60% cheap trash.
You read the book and you think that I wouldn't
All right,
think
I
it?
want to know why we didn't get the 2 kegs of beer that you promised us.
At one time, people would describe the Hells Angels as being Neanderthals, but Barger was very canny. He knew that if he got the public on side, or at least did not offend them, kept them neutral, that the politicians wouldn't even care about them. He was very smart. He put those people out front, but he was always there in the background.
Had any guts after living with all of these people?
Skip Workman embraces and condones violence to your wife or a woman, and the audience applauded him. Imagine saying that now.
Keep a woman in line. You got to beat them like a rug once in a while, you know?
The crowd goes nuts. They cheered this guy on. They laughed. They clapped. The audience were the suburbanites who had to work, who had to raise their kids, who had bills to pay, had mortgages, and they're looking at a guy who's living free and just wishing, oh man, I wish that was me.
There are those people that will accuse the Hells Angels of being misogynist, violent, racist, and I think those labels are actually warranted. Because, in order to be a member of the Hells Angels, they don't have any women that are members. That's an absolute, no-no.
I think that the Hells Angels felt that they were superior to women. I mean, I'd be lying. I'm not going to lie here. It was a man's organization. But what you have to understand, there were women in the club. Mother Ruth, she was a Purdue Hells Angel. There was another woman, Garbage Head. She actually had the tattoo on her back, but there's no way to deny that Sonny took the power. The girls got pushed out. They went to property patches, and you can see property of the Hells Angels.
If you're property of your old man, you exist and have a life because of him, and you serve at the whim of him. There's that commonality between a lot of the Brotherhood. They kind of come from these broken, dysfunctional families. Sonny Barger himself was left by his mom. His mom ran off with a bus driver and left him when he was 4 months old, never to be heard from again.